and I guess kind of the scheme of ramping up to the year. Where are you guys at right now? Where are these kind of weeks really entailing for you guys?
Yeah, we've been discussing a lot about winning each day, and if you want to make practice as much like the games as possible, then I want to see the same energy and enthusiasm when plays are made. When we take the field for practice, when we're having live at-bats, you name it. So just educating the guys on what it means to stack as many wins before the season starts. And that goes to, did we win the day at practice? And when a guy makes a backhand in the hole and makes a great play, I want to see the same kind of energy output that we would have in the game if that stuff happens. And so everything that we're doing right now relates exactly to that. Touching home as many times as possible as position players. How we take the field as pitchers, how we communicate on our PFPs and defensive work. And so from a coaching staff too, we're trying to amplify the amount of energy that we're bringing day in and day out. And so it's just really stacking wins at practice right now. And if we're doing enough of those, we can go into the season with a pretty strong record of practices won versus not. Then I think that puts us in a good spot. So, and we have beautiful weather right now. Everyone always talks about, how cold or wet it is. I'm like, it's beautiful outside. We should be out there in tank tops and shorts right now, right?
Can you just describe the threat that this year's pitching staff brings, especially just with a year of experience that both Dax and Ethan have coming into this season?
Yeah, I think it's well known, the depth on the pitching staff to an extent. Top to bottom, love what those guys are doing. Love the work. We go up and watch a bullpen in the pitching lab, and it's exciting to see the information that they're getting and then how they're turning it around into their next pen and continuing to take big jumps. And when you have guys that have that kind of experience, both with Dax and Kleine and Segura playing for Team USA, and even our analyst Brad and Amelia working with Team USA, the more experience you have, the more confident you feel. But also guys like Edwards and Queen, and a lot of our newcomers with Robles, Yeager, the experience that Hutch brings out of the pen as well, with 70 plus appearances over his last 3 years, and those guys returning, it is something that I think allows a lot of guys to run around with confidence, but also watching them mentor one another has been huge, to continue to give back to the guys, knowing that what they are able to go out and do isn't enough unless they have each and every guy on that pitching staff and the position players, the coaches, the fans, you name it, to all go out and do their part. And so I think they're seeing the bigger picture, and they're not content with any accolades that they may be receiving, whether it's online or just local verbals. It's continue to stay humble, go out and work.
Mitch, are you looking at Singer at shortstop this year, and can you talk about your infield besides that?
They're very diverse. These guys at practice, if you stick around and watch it, you'll see all those guys running around at different positions. There's no doubt Singh winning a Gold Glove last year, he's incredible. He can play third. He can play short. He can play second. The only one I'm probably not going to ask him to do at some point this year is get behind the plate. I don't think that's of interest to him right now, nor do we need it. But it's with him. He again, like the way he goes about his work at practice, and even before practice, it's encouraging other guys to go out and do it as well. He again, I look at Craig and the jump he's taken. I look at Singer and those guys coming back for their senior. Both had opportunities to go on. Tall, same thing. And that's a whole nother topic I'd love just discussing with others. You have guys like Talt, you have guys like Craig and Hutch who have been here for 4 years now, and the experience, the growth that they've had, how much they care about this place, and the landscape of what college athletics is in right now, to have guys to turn down opportunities to go professional at that time, to come finish their degrees and pour into this place. You really have confidence that they're going to go out and have successful years. That's the cool part for me, is how much they love this place, and you can see it just pouring out of them when they're at the field and away from the field.
Talk about catcher and what the expectations are there and what's going to happen.
Yeah, right now, we Galloway, Vandenbrink, and Hubby, all three of them. This last week, especially the interactions that they're having, like I value the energy that they're bringing to it, not just as a catching unit, but what are they doing for the pitchers? What are they doing for the infielders? And I find that putting them through a little bit more rigorous work in front of the group so that everyone can see how hard they are working to build respect, to build, trust amongst the group, and I really like what all of them are doing with the bat. I really like what all of them are doing receiving. I really like what all of them are doing communicating. Hubby and Gallo really have solid bats. A little bit different, I guess, as far as maybe power. Hub's got some ability to run the ball out of the yard. What they both do, they're really tough outs. They get on base. So I trust them that they're going to win pitch to pitch from the left side. Vandenbrink, extremely physical. I don't know if we have enough weight in the weight room to put on a bar for him. But he has made huge jumps as well in his game. So that is a very competitive spot right there. And you love having the depth because if you need to run for someone or if there's a better matchup, that the next guy up is going to be able to go out there, handle the pitching staff, receive extremely well, block. We had a Blocktober event all through the month, and each of those guys just keeping balls in front over and over, and that was an exciting time. But watching that carry into what they're doing right now, I think that puts a good problem to have from our end as coaches. We love them all, so what do we want to do? But it's that kind of depth, and each guy just wanting what's best for the team and owning whatever role they need for that day is extremely important. So we're talking a lot about togetherness, and the mantra as always, what does the team need me to do right now?
Looking at Pike mostly as a pitcher right now.
He's doing everything, and that is an extremely difficult role to be a two-way guy. Now with the limited roster sizes too, that's always something you're looking for as athleticism competitors. Mace has been doing his best to handle both. Sometimes that requires, number one, I think the routine that goes with being a pitcher and learning how to throw bullpens, building, being a part of that community that a pitching staff has, and the identity that they carry is important. So even his last bullpen, I sent him a message last night, and I go, that might have been your best bullpen ever. Yeah, and he's like, it's kind of nice learning how to pitch instead of throw. And so he's refining his stuff. The stuff's really good. And now it's just learning how to use it in different situations. And instead of just throwing strikes, throwing quality strikes. But it is electric. It is a sharp breaking ball. And it moves all over the place. And so he's learning to command it. I really liked how he came back from break with his right-handed swing. Took some huge jumps there. So you can easily tell when everyone comes back that first week who's been really busting their butts, and maybe who had a little more time laying low and recovering, which is also important. But he's always a workhorse, and so you don't worry so much about him if he can handle the workload, because that guy's one of the many that really handles the 21 hours away from practice.
Dax looked bigger and stronger talking to him a little while ago. Talk about how excited you are to have him going out on the mound this season. Myself, the entire coaching staff, I think anyone who's a fan of the orange and black is excited to see him go out and compete. I would say anyone who's not part of the Beaver family is not excited to run across paths with him. He's an incredible person. You worry about him zero away from the field. He is extremely humble. Him and Klein going through their throwing program, sitting around and watching other guys throw bullpens just so that they can, be a great teammate and possibly help out. The way that they long toss it, consistently throughout the week. Their throwing program, they go longer than anyone else because they value that time and they want to get better. There's no rush. But I wasn't surprised to hear you say he does look much more physical, and that's just part of it. But he eats right. He takes care of his body. It's all those little things, and his roommates and all of them. They all feed off one another
I was just actually talking to one of his roommates before coming in here, and he's like, man, we eat really well at the house. We're all cooking. We're all doing all the little things. And I was like, yeah, it's fun to watch these guys grow up and start that transition from young men to men. And not having to worry about them away from the field says a lot of that. It's like you look at these guys as just that, men that are going to be very responsible post their time here.
Last thing for me, Mitch, is how excited are you about this group? And is it the pressure of getting back to back, or is that just, hey, that's down the road, let's just worry about getting ready?
Yeah, shouldn't really be worrying about, the second or third inning until you're focusing. Like, it's going to be a rough second or third inning if you don't focus on the first inning. And so, obviously you can sit there, lay in bed, and start to visualize. Like, you want to visualize being in Omaha and hosting regionals and super regionals and success, and you want to talk about it so those things can come to fruition. However, it always, everything starts about today's practice, and right now it's going to be fueling up and making sure that I can handle my job and go out and make sure it's ran properly, and I'm holding people accountable, and that I'm bringing that same energy and enthusiasm that I'm asking them to take, and spending quality time with each guy while I get a chance to do that at practice. And so I don't want to look too far into the future, because that can usually create issues of their own. I don't want to dwell on the past of anything outside of learning from it. And so the focus today is just winning practice. And then when we're done with practice, the message is the same. It's the day's not done, and our goal is to win today. And so what are we doing away from practice from 4 o'clock till midnight to make sure that they better be in bed way before midnight, but to make sure that we're finishing the job. Practice is only part of the game, and the rest of the day before and after are also equally important innings that we are playing to win that day. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm really thinking too much further down the road other than building these guys up to take on any challenge that comes their way.
Building off of that, a lot of returners on this team got a little taste of what it takes to get to Omaha. How have you kind of seen those returners, the way that the season ended last year, kind of fuel them throughout the off season?
Yeah, it's a constant. No matter how the season ends, you are putting more fuel on the fire to ramp up and do better than you did before. And I was talking with Zach Edwards about this. The amount of experience he has now of being a freshman, getting big time innings, not pitching for a little while, and the way he handled that work to get back in there and then pitch in Omaha multiple times. I mean, his bucket is so big now that it's going to take a lot of other things to take him outside that comfort zone. And that's what we're trying to do, is find out where those margins are that we can push guys further so that they're prepared for it when the season comes around. And so we're trying to make every day extremely challenging. And some guys, maybe for incoming freshmen who haven't experienced things at that level yet, you don't want to push them all the way, because that can be maybe too much to take on and grow a little easier. So for certain guys, you're just trying to find bits and pieces to challenge them on a given day and see how they handle it and how they recover. And then for guys like, Whitney, Klein, Edwards, how can we make these guys a little bit more challenged? And maybe that's just encouraging them to go coach and teach other guys, which the players, younger guys, will be more receptive to listening to their peers as opposed to maybe the big bad head coach who's coming at them and hollering. But, it's just all of us being on board with doing the same thing. So we try to be very transparent, not omit anything, and just allow these guys to hear from their peers, hear from their coaches, and they know that our heart's in the right place for it. And I think that's what's expediting a lot of the learning process for them.
You mentioned earlier the new VASTA limits. Is there anything tangible that's a difference with the smaller VASTA than what you're used to?
We have 37 guys, and usually in the fall we've started off in the past with 43, 44, and so we're kind of curious as to how this was going to work out, having 37. And really what's come from it is a lot of extra time with each individual. I've enjoyed getting to know the guys. I think the team has bonded closer together quicker from that environment. We've noticed that from a pitching, position player, base running, you name it, standpoint, they're all taking bigger leaps quicker. Because now, I mean, even if you have 7 extra players, it's great because, you know, you're bringing them in because they have certain characteristics that it requires to be a Beeve. But you're noticing that I now have more time with this guy, because each of those meetings that we have with our student athletes, you know, can be anywhere from a half hour to an hour on a given day. And I meet with every student athlete, every coach, at least once a month, one-on-one time. Not saying you don't do that at practice and when the time is needed for it, but if you take, you know, 7 extra student athletes, that could be up to 7 hours that now I can reinvest into the guys, you know, that are here, the guys that are going to be out playing, the guys that we're going to try to develop to get in the game, to be ready for those opportunities. 7 hours that I could be, you know, spending more with my wife and kids, or somewhere in the community, you name it. So it's making more with a little bit less, I think has been very eye-opening. We've enjoyed that, and I don't know. Yeah, it's all the unknown. It always can be a little bit fearful, but I guess as a Christian, you look for those opportunities. You trust that it's going to be like what it needs to be, and you attack each and every day with enthusiasm, right?
Tall is
Just a
your
few more,
presumed
guys.
right field, or how about the other outfield positions? Who have caught you?
Well, we don't want to presume too much. You never know. Talt's been working a lot in center field. Obviously, we know he's really good in right, but also challenging him, saying, hey, make sure you're getting your reps out there. So for each and every one of our outfielders, I've assigned them all essentially 2 spots. You should be working here and here. You should be working the corners. You should be working middle and right. And so Talt knows all of his work is going to be going into center and right. He's very comfortable in right field. He's very good at right field. The fans in right field really love him. And so we've encouraged him to get more and more work out in center field, so that when it calls for it, and I think based on how the lineup's going to happen on a given day, or even as the game progresses, he could be going from right to center. He could be going from center to right. He could stay at one of those for the duration of the game. But I don't know. A lot of that is, you know, what the team needs on a given day, but also keeping guys on their toes so they can continue to develop. There's some times where you just want to quiet the noise and say, just focus here. But I think he can handle both of those positions at a high level. You know, you also have Adam Haight is like, I think he can play all 3 of those out there. He's got the want to go get the ball. He's got the speed. He's got a really good bat, you know, that we didn't really get to see a ton of last year. We as coaches know what he's capable of doing, but since putting down the pitching and taking on just the outfield and hitting portion of it, he's made huge jumps. I think any one of his teammates would say, this guy's going to be a real threat this year. So I don't know, even for every one of our infielders, they all have multiple spots that they're working on. And as we get into the season, they're probably going to hone in on one more so than the other, but still be touching on other ones just in case. Especially when you have smaller roster sizes, we need to make sure that we're ready in case anything comes up.
Where do things
Last
stand?
one.
Where do things stand on the April 14th Hillsborough game contract?
April 14th, I got to check back in on that one, but I know that's been something that we've been talking about, so we haven't, and nothing's been announced yet, right?
Well,
No.
my understanding, one side signed and one side's waiting or
Oh, I don't know.
working time.
All right, yeah. Excited for all 56 plus a handful more for this year, so we'll get them all there so at some point, right? Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Always had.